He's taking a bath. So I'm gonna try to make a design that I've never made before, but I'm starting out with a very normal starting place. I got a 7-inch long square bar of pure silver that I drew out from a coin. I didn't bore you with the creation of this. I've done that already several times. We're looking for an 8-inch or 9-inch nail, which I think is an overdone design, but I'm willing to do it. Somebody asked me specifically. I think we're going for a round. So this is currently square. So I'm going to round it out, and we're going to draw it out. I think 7 inches is a good place to start. I have my ruler drawn out on this piece of wood here, so we're starting at 7 inches. So that actually worked better than I expected. I basically got a nice round wire, so that's great. So this also drew this out about another 1/4 of an inch, so now we're looking at 7.5 inches, 7.25 inches. So we're going to draw one of these out to be a nice point, so that'll add more length overall. So I'm gonna pick probably the more of the two jacked up ends. We're going to draw that out after we anneal again. He's taking a bath. So now I'm going to draw this out. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Pretty round. Uh-oh. I cracked the end. Oh, I cracked the end. That's not good. Okay, well that's a big LOL. Well, I cracked the end here, which means that I'm gonna have to melt that back, which is fine. I can do that. I wonder if I should have done the drawing out on a rolling mill. Shucks. I'm gonna kick myself for that. I got it on the charcoal block here. Fused it back up. Will I learn from my lesson? Probably not. So since that was a big dumb thing to do, I guess I'm gonna try to roll out the end a little bit, because that is gonna be more safe than drawing it. See, the problem with this is now it's going back to a square, so I'll have to round that out again, but I guess it'll be easier. We're at 7.5 inches, so I got plenty of room to draw. It's taking on a very wobbly shape, so I gotta anneal that again. This is bath time again. Little wobbly here. Just bent that out by hand. That'll be fine. So there's definitely a little taper now. I did a little hammering here just to firm that neck up. If it's work hardened, it'll keep its shape better and it'll stop twisting. So I'll go a little bit further on this very end, and then I'll round it back up, the whole thing. I think that's probably fine. I don't know. I don't know. I'll anneal it, I'll round it up, and then we'll see if that's actually decent. One more time. So that's definitely smaller now. I guess I'll take a measurement. The full width here is 4/8 at where it's round. And down here it's 2. Okay. Over the span of 32 millimeters. That's how long the taper is. I guess those are just rough numbers in case I need to repeat the design. I'll go ahead and round this up. Let's see how long it is. We are sitting at 8 inches. 8 inches exactly right now. Let's round that up. Make it do a nice nail shape. So in all honesty, this design kind of looks like a big pencil. A big pencil. Very odd. So the head of the nail, I'll have to make. I think we're going with a round head, which will look good. And then on this end, because it doesn't come to a really good point, and because there's going to be a little chipping down here, where the stress fracturing is just bound to happen, even though I did remelt this. I'm going to do a hot cut here, you know, not a hot cut, but if this was blacksmithing, I would do a hot cut. And we're just going to make a sharp edge here artificially. I'll probably just go ahead and snip it. Get a nice, super aggressive end, because I think that's the design we're going for, is a kind of an aggressive look. And then this side, I'll do a cut here, but I'll do a flush cut with a saw. I just talked to the client who's requesting this design, and I asked him if he wanted a square head or a round head, and I'm going to wait for him to get back to me with that answer before I go ahead and make this, because I'd rather have it look right off the bat. It's going to be cool, but it's very large. It's very long. 8 inches is, that's a big cuff. But whatever, we'll get there. Alright, I got my answer. We're going with round. So I gotta figure out how to make a round nail head, I suppose. I'm thinking about just doing it, cutting a round bit out of something like this. That might work. It might be a little too thin. Well, we'll figure it out. So I have here 20% of a troy ounce of silver, and I'm gonna melt that into a bottle and see if that's gonna be good for a nail head. So let's put that into charcoal black. Perfect. It's a bit too big. It's definitely too big. Well, 5 millimeters is definitely too thick. And 12 millimeters is too big. I think we'll go 9 millimeters. Looks good. If I was the head of a nail. And probably 3. How big is this? Is this 2? I might go with a 2. Well, what's the worst that can happen? So go 9 and 2. See if we can get a good head. This guy's too big. That's okay. Perfect. It's already down to 1.8. And all I did was squash the texture out of it. We'll try. We'll see if it looks proportionately good. And if it doesn't look proportionately good, well, I'll just try something else. It's like making a recipe. You only have to make the recipe once. After you figured out what the recipe is. Yeah, that looks better. Just about a 9mm head. That looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I like that. Okay. So now I'm going to go in the clamp and file that down. Doesn't need to be perfect, because we're going to solder it up anyway. So now I'm going to go ahead and chop off the end of this. This is where we're going to make our solder joint. Yeah, pretty good cut. Cool. Sure. It's going to be a flat surface, abutting a flat surface, so that should be pretty simple. Should be pretty simple. So I have my third hand here, holding, and I'm gonna see if I can't just put a chip of solder in between there and hit it with the fire for some flux. I guess I'm gonna grab a big chip. Sure. And right in the middle. And then just gonna position this. Okay. I mean, kind of looks like a nail. It's definitely on there. Is it dead center? No. Is it perfectly round? No. I mean, it looks like a big nail. I mean, it's kind of goofy looking. I'm gonna do the cut. I'm feeling fearless. Here we go. Yeah, sure. Now it's sharp. That's real sharp now. I guess maybe I'll take some of the texture down on the sides. I'll use the rotary tool for that. You're not gonna like the sound of this, so. I guess I'll bend it up now, because why not? Go ahead and bend this up. I'm just gonna do this by hand. As you can see, it's super soft. I'm not gonna force it. So the tail hasn't been annealed as much as the rest of it. So I guess I need to go anneal that some more. But we got a nice little U. So since there's solder on the nail head, I have to go ahead and put that in the pickle. But just that side. The rest of it goes right in the water. So, pickle, then water. Now it should be perfectly annealed. Oh yeah, nice and soft. So I'm going to polish this up just a tiny bit, and then once it's a little bit polished, I'll send this over to the client, see what they think. The only thing I have left to do is some engraving on the head, but you don't need to know what that is. I went and took some pretty pictures outside. I gotta ship this out pretty soon, so gotta get this packaged up. So I really like the design. I actually went ahead and made the full order, which was 2, and they're pretty identical. I basically followed the same recipe. I didn't make any modifications. It seems like, every piece is a little bit unique. Yeah, they look good. They look pretty well matched. They're both going to get the same engraving on the head. And yeah, thank you for watching.